Hey, Grant, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thank you so much for having me.
You bet, man. Thanks for being here. You and I originally connected in person at the Gary V Agent 2021 event in Florida, January of this year, and we've been like messaging ever since then. So it's good to finally connect. Why don't you give the listeners your own personal version of like who's Grant Wise? What's he all about?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great event in Miami. Always love getting out to Miami. I think I have like three more functions there in the next 2 months. Um, who's Grant Wise? So I really got started in business at a very, very young age. I was 19 when I joined the ranks of the self-employed, and I um, I got started in. I bought a little business from my father,
Mm-hmm.
and he had recently fallen off of a ladder, got hurt,
Wow.
and I kind of swooped in and said, "Hey, let's work a deal out." And really, it was kind of the life, man. I played golf 5 days a week, and I did a little construction project on the weekends, and that's what paid my bills. But it got a little colder, and I started getting a little bored. I was like, "All right, well, what am I going to do?" And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a roofing company. I was intertwined in that industry because my father owned a gutter business, so roofing was kind of like a symbiotic
Right.
step. And so I didn't know much about the roofing industry. I had some close family at the time that had a vast knowledge, and we ended up going to the industry. We got a hailstorm, thankfully. And we won, and we roofed like 111 houses my first year of business.
Wow. That's a
So
lot.
I was this really young kid, and I was making a ton of money. I thought I knew everything. I was it. I had an ego the size of any house you could imagine, and
Hmm.
nobody could tell me what to do. And unfortunately, that's not a really good recipe if you mix money into the equation. And so I drank a lot, bought a lot of stuff, wasted mountains of money thinking that it was never going to end, that I had found this fountain that was just going to pour wealth into my life consistently and constantly. And it started to end because I couldn't outpace my bad habits. And I think it was 21 years old. Somebody came to me and they said, "Hey, we want to start a real estate company." And I was like, "Great. I'm good at starting businesses. I got 4 or 5 failed ones going on right now. So let's give it a shot." And they said, "We want to pay our real estate agents 100% commission." And I was like, "That's awesome. Everybody's going to want to make more money." And I was dead wrong, which was fascinating. And I can get into more of that later about understanding what real estate agents actually want.
Hmm.
But I started traveling the country. We were going to be in 500 markets in 5 years. And I've set off on this path. And I think we were in about 6 markets, 6 months. We were kind of figuring out what people wanted and what they didn't. And I was just traveling recruiting. And all the while, my other businesses were really tanking because I wasn't paying attention to them, unfortunately.
Hmm.
And I was 23 years old. I've been in the business a couple of years now. And the people that we brought in to help us fund it came to me and they said, "Hey, we think you're the reason this company's not growing and we want you to leave." And I'm like, "Well, I own 51% of the business and I want you to leave. How about that?" And
That's fun.
they're like, "Well, we think you should think about it." I'm like, "All right, well, I think you should screw off, but that's a different conversation." So I ended up thinking about it, and I said, "You know what? I've been trying to teach all these real estate agents that we've brought in how to leverage social media and how to use video and all these cool things that they could do to grow their business." And nobody was listening to me. They just thought that I was this young, dumb kid.
And how long ago is this?
This was back almost 6 years ago.
Okay. All right.
And they liked the fact that they were making 100% commission, but they didn't want to listen to anything I had to say when it came to really kind of expounding on that. And
Hmm.
I said, "You know what? I'm the youngest person in this company by 3 times my age. Everybody thinks that I'm just this quack. I'm going to go where I'm appreciated, not where I'm tolerated." And I said, I signed away all my rights to the business for a period of time. They had to do some stuff for it to stick, and they didn't, but that's a different story. And so I freaked out for like a week. I had no idea what I'm going to do.
Hmm.
And I said, "You know what? I'm going to teach real estate agents what I've been trying to teach them all along, which is how to grow through social media." And I was legally bankrupt. I'd filed Chapter 7. I was 23 years old. I had $25 to my name.
Hmm.
My girlfriend at the time, wife now, is the one that says that she's the one that gave me the $25 for the day. And I launched some Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And I spent $25 and I got $1,000 client. Somebody jumped on the phone and gave me $1,000. and my whole world just got flipped on its head.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot, and we started doing it again and again and again. And what was so cool is that Tanya, the first woman I ever worked with, she sold 48 houses the year that we started working together, the first year she was in the business. And that blew my mind. It blew her mind. And I took on about a dozen more clients throughout that year, and all of them were doing the same thing. They were getting to six figures in about 8 months or less, which was fascinating to me. And so we packaged it up as a product with what's now known as Modern Agent Mastery in December of 2015 and launched it. And we added over 600 students the first year, doubled the business the second year, and it just exploded. We were teaching real estate agents all over the country how to leverage Facebook advertising to grow their business. And it was, I think it was March 17, we realized that we were basically tech support for ClickFunnels and Instapage and ActiveCampaign and all these different software companies that we were teaching people how to do it. Because you can't just run Facebook ads. You need landing pages, you need email sequence, you need all the back end stuff. And I said, what if we could just do all that stuff for people? And I was like, well, I don't really want to start a services business. So what does that look like? And I approached person after person after person, and finally found my match, my CTO, Josh. And we built this tool called Whitley. And it took the workload, the 8 to 10 hours of work that everybody was having to do just to launch Facebook ads, and it did it for them. So what they could do in like 8 to 10 hours, they could now do in like 8 to 10 seconds, which was sick.
Yeah.
And we launched it. We had an unbelievably successful launch in March of 2017 with a huge charter membership base that stuck with us throughout this entire period as we've continued to evolve the software. And we launched what we call a client generation software that is literally changing lives every day. It's an incredible, incredible platform. And it's really actually grown into the bulk of our business. So we're a training and technology company now. We spend the vast majority of our time teaching and educating people on how to grow their business, how to generate clients through what we call a client generation system. And we give them access to our client generation software to help them do all of that. And man, we just have a blast. We get to go out and create a bunch of millionaires every day and help people grow in ways that we never thought possible. And I've grown in ways I never thought were possible, and we've just had a blast. We took something from nothing and turned it into an over $10 million business, and we've had a lot of fun.
That's pretty fast growth, man.
Yeah.
So you're in the same space then. Maybe clarify a little bit for me. I mean, same space as people like I don't know what, Agent Legend, Wise Agent, things like that.
Really similar. And I get asked this question all the time. So Whitley is not a CRM, which is what Wise Agent and Agent Legend types of companies are. Right. It has CRM components inside of it, but Whitley is a CGS. It's a client generation software. Yep. And it kind of sits in a category by itself. I'm not a lead generation guy. I used to be, got out of the lead generation business, got into the client generation business. Our whole goal is to help people do three things. We want to first help them generate leads. That's a part of it. We want to second help people build a brand, which I think is very important through retargeting and video marketing. And third, we want to help people convert customers. What I realized is that I could be the greatest lead generation champion on planet Earth, but I was still a commodity amongst all the other self-proclaimed Facebook gurus that had come out of the woodwork. Mm-hmm. And wanted to separate myself completely. And so a lot of searching to figure out what it was that we were really working to accomplish. And we just understood that loan officers and real estate agents, they want clients. They don't just want leads. Like, they want customers. They want commission checks. Right. And so we kind of totally redefined who we were and what we did inside of the market. And so we work with Wise Agent. We integrate with their platform and others. And we have a blast getting to work with some of those smart people. Brandon Wise, he and I are not related. We always have to say that. But right. We have a blast getting to work with people like that. And yeah. Okay.
So we're going to get into asking a lot of Facebook related questions in just a second, but answer for me then the difference between generating a lead versus generating a client. Like, how do you know what I mean, draw the line there?
Yeah, so a lead is a name, an email address, a phone number, a physical address. It's an opportunity, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not a guarantee, it's not a lock, it's just an opportunity that
Mm-hmm.
could or could not be shared with other people.
All right.
And the way that we really kind of differentiate ourselves is that we realize that it's so easy to pass the buck. I mean, we even did it for a long time. Like, well, I have 1,000% success rate helping people generate leads. I've never failed, literally ever. But it's
Right.
not how people say Grant
Yes.
Wise's stuff works. They say, if I got a check, Grant Wise's stuff works.
Right.
And when I realized that, I took accountability and responsibility for it and said, look, everybody's passing the buck and saying, well, I got you leads, but you didn't convert them. That's not my problem.
Right.
I said, no, that's my responsibility. Like, that's why you're coming to me, is to get more customers. And so when you look at a lead, you're looking at opportunity. There's a chance that you're going to be able to grow your business. What I want is to know for a fact that you're going to grow your business because you listened to what I said, you implemented what I said, and you got commission checks, you got money in the bank
Mm-hmm.
because of what we were able to come in and help you do within your business.
Okay. Very cool. All right. So before we get into the Facebook questions, for the listeners, give them a sense of your knowledge of Facebook ads, because a fair number of my listeners probably haven't heard of you before. You haven't been on their radar.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's good to set that up first before we start like setting you up as the guy to answer all these questions. So go ahead.
Yeah, I've been in the Facebook space now for real estate agents, loan officers for coming into 6 years. We've been working on helping real estate agents understand how to implement Facebook advertising. So we do that through, instructional videos. A little deeper than that, we do it through helping agents and loan officers understand what consumers really want. And then we help them understand how to like package that and deliver it to them.
Mm-hmm.
So a Facebook ad is, some copy, some Facebook copy, some images, maybe a video targeted at the right person, budgeted the right way. And that's traffic, right? When you send that traffic somewhere, you've got to send them to a place that's going to have something of value that they're going to want to exchange their information for, right?
Right.
So if I were to ask you, hey, what is the number one thing that people interested in purchasing a home want? What would you tell me?
A good deal.
Good deal, right? Maybe it's a good deal. Sure, that's one thing.
A list of homes, ease. I want the process to be easy. Yeah.
You hit it right on the head. They want homes.
Yeah.
That's the desire. The whole process has been flipped on its head. See, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if my wife and I were talking and I said, hey, I think we should buy a home, I would have said, okay, I'll call the bank tomorrow and see if we can even afford one.
Right.
And then they're going to introduce me to a real estate agent because I have to have a realtor. And then they're going to go out and show me properties. And that's not the way that it is anymore. Mm-hmm. Today, if her and I have that same conversation, we are both going to pull our phones out and we're going to go to the internet and we're going to start looking at properties. Once I look at properties, I'm going to discover that I need a realtor to show me those properties. And once I get on the phone with the realtor, the agent is going to say, are you pre-qualified? Yes or no? I'm not showing you houses till you are. Right. And then they'll connect me to a loan officer. So the whole process has really kind of been transcended into this different way of accessing information. This is something that companies like Zillow did masterfully. They just gave the prospect what they ultimately wanted, homes to view, and that's how they generate so many leads. So we kind of teach people how to become their own little Zillow in their markets just using social media instead by providing prospects with lists of homes to view. That's one angle. That's one way to get people opting in left and right, name, email, phone number, physical address, all the information that people want from a lead generation standpoint. And yes, I mean, there's really simple things that you should do within Facebook. The way that you target, the way that you budget, the way that you write copy, the way that you use images, those things are really important. But if you don't have the right offers and you're not putting those people into the right system on the back end, none of that work is really going to matter. So, we've ran ads all over the world. I've helped sell houses in the States. I've helped sell houses in Canada, in Mexico, in Bali, in Germany, in London. I've helped sell a $25 million mansion in India. We've literally worked all over the world teaching people how to leverage Facebook to sell more property. And I've personally coached a little over 2,000 realtors here in the U.S. I've trained over 60,000 people through free trainings. And I've consulted for over 400 different marketing agencies, teaching them how to better serve their realtor partners. And I've had a blast working with loan officers as well to help them understand how they can use what it is that we're teaching to add value to their realtor partners in kind of a different way. to grow their business as well.
Okay, good stuff. All right, so let's see. I'm thinking about the context of my audience, right? There's lots of different areas we could go to. Let me go here first. I mean, I could go the standard, what do you see the big mistakes people make? You and I talked about that. I think the audience gets it, right? Number one is like not having the right systems and setup in the back end, to handle the lead flow and automation. Let me just deal with this question. Are Facebook leads still worth it, right? Because it's getting more expensive. It's obviously very noisy in the feed. It's getting harder to succeed with Facebook ads. Would you agree or comment further on that?
I would agree that the process has evolved. I feel like it is. I feel like it's still very easy, but you got to think, man, I mean, we're still knocking doors every day and it's 2019. Mm-hmm. We're still cold calling every day and it's 2019. You got people still sending out junk mail and it's 2019. Like, these are things that we've been doing for decades that are the old quote unquote tried and true ways to grow a business. They're the tried and true ways to make money. I don't know about growing a big business, but excuse me, I digress. Mm-hmm. So what we've seen is there's absolutely been an evolution to Facebook marketing. 5 years ago, you could put an ad out, generate a lead, and you were the only one doing it. So you didn't really have to do anything else. You could even suck at follow-up. You were still going to do really well because nobody else was doing it.
Right.
And what we've seen a huge key difference is now versus 5 years ago is that if you're not leveraging retargeting, it's kind of like when you go to Amazon to buy that golf club and you decide not to, what happens?
Yeah, it shows up wherever you go then.
Product follows you all over the internet, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not doing the exact same thing with your business, with your brand, if you're not building relationships and creating an experience for the person that's opted into your marketing campaigns, you're not going to get the results. So I agree that it's changed and it's harder for people to see results because they're just putting an ad out and generating leads. The people that are leveraging a couple of things, video, super important, and retargeting, mm-hmm. are experiencing the same levels of success that they have experienced for the last few years. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest key difference. I mean, if anybody's listening to this, you're like, well, my ads were working for a long time and then they stopped working. You're missing a piece.
Yeah.
Facebook lead generation is a third of the equation. It's not the whole thing. And so, looking at things from a different lens, you've got to build a relationship with prospects. That's why we generate leads in the first place. People don't want to talk to you so much, right? Even if I was just talking to somebody today, like even if somebody opts in with a fake name and a fake text message or a fake phone number, whatever, Facebook, though you got the wrong information, Facebook still has the right information. So when I start retargeting those people, they're going to see my ads whether or not they answer my phone call, right? So when they go right back to social media and they start now seeing my face everywhere, the impression counts are going to increase, the frequencies are going to increase, the relationship, however long it takes people to build one, will begin to happen. And there's a lot of psychological reasons that the video aspects of things work so well. Right. But the short of it is that we've been programmed since we were little kids to celebritize what we see behind a TV screen. And our TV screen today is no longer the box that sits in the living room. It's the 3x4-inch device that we won't take out of our hands. Right. Our networks are no longer ABC, NBC, CBS. They're Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever. So I think that's the biggest key missing element to having a successful campaign. So if somebody's saying that it's just not working or it's harder, there's an extra step that a lot of people are missing today that make them feel like things are harder or that it's not working.
Yeah, what I still see is people still just not putting in the right amount of thoughtfulness to running the Facebook ad, right? There's still a good amount of people that are just trying to throw stuff up and think that, it's pull a lever and get it.
People like that. And I always tell people, like, look, the person that works with everyone works with no one. Like, if you don't know who your customer is, you will not succeed at the marketing game, because the marketing is messaging, and every aspect of creating a message is knowing who your prospect is and how you're going to communicate with them in a way that's going to get them to want to take action. Now, as an aside, there's a great book called Breakthrough Advertising written by Eugene Schwartz. It's like an $800 or $900 book on advertising. If you can afford it and get it, read it. I promise you it'll be worth its weight in gold. Here's what I took out of that book and have applied to real estate is that there are 3 basic levels of awareness that prospective homeowners and sellers go through whenever they're considering making these types of decisions. The first is unaware. It sounds so childish and kindergarten, but if I'm not aware of my desire, or a life event hasn't happened where I have a need for real estate, it is the most uninteresting thing that you could talk to me about.
Right.
It doesn't matter how good you are, how knowledgeable you are, how passionate you are. If I have no desire, no need, I don't care. Right. And so what we're seeing happen is that a lot of people are throwing stuff out there to people that don't care because they don't have that desire nor need. And like Eugene explains in the book, you could spend millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to market to those people, and the only thing that you will go is broke. So what do we do instead? Grant, is the question, right? Okay, what's next then? Well, the power of Facebook is not in its 2 billion plus daily users. The power of Facebook is that you can directly target a message to people you know are interested in what it is that you have to offer. The second phase of awareness is what we call home aware. It's where people are aware of their desire or need for the real estate process, might not be aware of who can help them or how to get started. So you see, if I'm home aware, if I now know that I want to buy a home, your brand, and this is a mistake that we see people make, is still irrelevant to me. I don't care that you're a real estate agent because I don't really know that I need one. I don't care that you're a loan officer because I'm not interested in getting a loan. I'm interested in getting a house. However much sense that doesn't make, right? I want to look at homes. I don't care about anything else. So why not give people what they want, right? In order to, like, that's your hook, in order to get people hooked into who you are and what you do. And when you do that, you make this introduction. See, when Zillow generates a lead, they then sell 4 or 5 agents the lead, right? What they're doing is they've now solved the problem that the consumer had, which is, I want to look at homes. Now I have a platform to do that. The next problem you're going to have is that you need somebody to help you go buy this home, right? So they're going to take them into what we call our third phase of awareness, which is home plus you aware. I'm aware that I have a problem. Now I'm aware that you can help me solve it. That's when the relationship process begins. So you're seeing a gigantic wave of people that are trying to catch people right before they make a decision, meaning I'm ready to buy a home right now. When the reality of the situation is today, leads are being generated far earlier in the decision-making process. 3, 6, 9, 12 months. But people are so right here, right now, they think, well, it just doesn't work. I've got to go. It doesn't work because it's not feeding me this moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there, man. A lot of good stuff. I'm trying to think, where do I enter? What comes to mind immediately for me is a couple of different things. So if we know the bulk of people are trying to generate a lead when somebody's in the moment, right? They've already been on their journey of looking at homes and all that kind of stuff. And the ads agents, let's say, are trying to like get that person who's ready now. What types of are they getting clear on any of the criteria or the behavioral identifiers and things like that on Facebook? Or are they trying to just run a big splash ad where it's just like, shouting, "Hey, I'm the greatest agent," that kind of jazz? Is that the mistake you make?
I think there's a healthy mixture. Like, a lot of people put out like, "Hey, I'm a real estate agent. I'd love to help you. I treat my clients with Class A service. I'm really compassionate. I'm super knowledgeable." And I think those are gigantic mistakes because that's what people expect. Like, I don't know why you would say it. Like, that's what people expect of you if they're doing business with you. What's this whole, the real estate industry for years has gone through this identity crisis because 5, 10, 15 years ago, it was a very perceptive industry. If you didn't drive a Benz or a Beamer, if you didn't dress the right way, if you didn't do all those things, you weren't thought to be that successful. Today, we live in an era where everybody knows that everybody's not perfect. And so it's actually almost a distance to anything to do with you. And so you see that flips. What it tells us is that we have the freedom to be ourselves and to build a relationship with people that we want to build a relationship with. So why not create your own market? This is one of the greatest ways you can increase your conversion in advertising, is by creating your own market. See, everybody's out there trying to grab a portion of a big giant market, right? I want to be a part of this. I'm going to go try to get, this much out of there's 100% of a market. I'm going to try to get 1% of it, right? when what you really should be doing is creating your own market and owning 80 to 100% of that. Well, how do I do that? Well, you do that by creating a niche. You do that by creating a target audience, a target group of people that you serve that are dynamic to you, and then you go own that space. For example, I see your disc collection there shined up in the background, right? You probably like doing business with people that have similar taste. Is that maybe true a little bit?
Sure. Who doesn't? Yeah. If you can appreciate some of these artists, you're cool.
Right? Exactly. When we sit down and work with realtors and loan officers and investors and everybody and really work to get them to create a profile of somebody that they actually want to do business with, it's the stuff that's hanging on the back of your wall that really matters. Like, who is my client? What do they like? Where do they like to hang out? Where do they go shopping? Where do they do all these things? Who do they do business with? What are they listening to? Where do they get their news? Understanding who your client is, your ideal prospect at that level makes it so easy to go out and talk to that group of people. Because if I know, for example, in my market, there's Pinnacle and then there's Downtown Rogers, DTR. I know that if you're in Downtown Rogers, you're either very independent, politically or liberal, you really love dogs, you are super into farmers markets, you love eating, drinking local, you like craft beer, you're the middle to lower class income earner. Mm-hmm. I know that if you are over in Pinnacle, you're a huge fan of Donald Trump, you love eating really nice meals, you're upper to middle to upper class, you like golf, you like Fox News, so on and so forth. Like, you get my point. You see the distinction in the marketplace there. Just in these places, they're 10 miles from each other. They're not very far.
Right.
But if I knew that I wanted to work in Pinnacle instead of Downtown Rogers, I know where to go. I know where to shop. I know which business owners to interview on my show or my podcast. I know which businesses to advertise in. Everything becomes so much clearer. And this is what's the really cool part. It's kind of coming back to my point, is you can take that exact same profile of people that you love to do business with, and you can put that right into Facebook, and you can just target really direct strategic advertisements at those people when you know what they want, list of homes. So hopefully I got around to answering your question. Yes, I mean, a lot of people are just throwing stuff out there because they don't know who they're talking to, and they don't know what they want.
They're trying to talk to everybody, and that's the first mistake. I'm going to come back to identifying those people in Pinnacle. Just made a note here for a second. Well, let me get to it right now. So then let's just say you've identified you want to work the Pinnacle market, right? And you mentioned things like doing videos in your local community and doing a podcast. But let's bring it back just to Facebook. How would you – what criteria can we utilize to target those people? Obviously, there's the kind of the radius, right, of a zip code and take the radius. But what other like behavioral things would you start to? And I guess that your answer depends. The lifestyle, right, attributes within Facebook, your answer to that depends perhaps on which type of ad you're running, if you're running awareness or consideration or conversion. Is that true? Or
it absolutely can. Yeah. Well, so what we do things in levels. We have level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is cold lead generation, right? So we're running lead form ads or conversion ads.
Okay.
And here's just a pro tip. So you're saying, how do I go out and identify what my market wants? So we know that they want homes. Well, what value home, right? So what I'll do is we'll advise our clients, go look at the MLS. Mm-hmm. What is the median price of homes sold in the last 90 days? Right. Say in the Pinnacle area, it's like $599. It's a higher end market. Mm-hmm. Okay. I know that if I put out an ad that says, hey, attention Pinnacle, Pinnacle Rogers residents or Pinnacle area residents, or Pinnacle, whatever, I've created a free report of homes priced under $599,000. Some of these homes even qualify for special financing options. Click here to get the free list downloaded instantly, right? Mm-hmm. That advertisement is 1,000% two things. One, what the prospect wants. Two, in the price point that everybody in that market's doing business in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can leverage some of those data points to really zero in and pinpoint exactly what it is that prospect is going to want.
Now, on that note, so specific to that, you said in that price point, and you chose median price point because that's where a lot of the activity and turnover is, right?
Yes.
Now, on the flip side of that, if conversely, perhaps if you wanted to work upper market in Pinnacle, then that headline would say something different, right? That wouldn't have have a different price point, perhaps?
The only thing that would be different would be the price point.
Right.
But if you're wanting to work luxury market, you're wanting to raise your price point, know a couple of things. That A, you just change the number and you're good, but B, you're going to get less leads because you're dealing with a smaller audience size.
Sure.
You're dealing with a higher transaction volume, which means your cost per lead is going to increase.
Yep.
Those are just simple things to look out for. But yes, theoretically, there's just a couple pieces of information, and you could go the exact opposite. If I only want to work with people in the $200,000 range, you just lower that price point.
All right. I'm being cognizant of our time because any Facebook conversation can go for a long time. So where should people, let's say I haven't run ads on Facebook before, whether I'm a realtor or a loan officer, like you said, people want the house real quick. So then what you're saying about that is, I hear all these stories about how they're seeing consumer data, how consumers are going to get pre-qualified before they shop for a home. I don't know that I believe that. I haven't seen it. What do you say to that real quick?
37% of homes sold in 2018 were sold to millennials. 99% of those home searches originated online. It's too easy for me, if I have this desire to go look at a home, to pull it up on my phone and start shopping. I understand that I might need a mortgage, right? You've got these companies that are doing great jobs at generating massive amounts of mortgage leads through, Rocket Mortgage and all these different companies. Their conversion on those leads sucks, but they are generating those types of leads. Doesn't mean they're getting a lot of business, but they are generating a massive amount of attention. 37% of a market is starting their search online, right? That's huge. So I don't really believe that a big portion of people are starting at the pre-qualification phase, because it's not the natural buying order right now. It's not the natural order of buying. Even if you look at a company like Zillow, why would Zillow start a mortgage company if that were the case, right? They know that they now have millions of leads that they can sell a mortgage to, right?
Sure. Right. Exactly.
So,
right. All right, that's good question there. All right, so the next question is, I haven't run ads on Facebook before. Let's just say I'm going to run a house ad, right? Or I want to build my brand as a real estate professional. Should everybody start with the normal phase of like awareness, branding, things like that, content? No? How should people start?
Absolutely not. A lot of people come to us talking about how I want to build a brand. And it's like, okay, what is a brand to you? Well, I have no idea. Okay, how much money do you have in your brand bank account? Well, none. Okay, so look, building a brand takes time, and it's an investment in relationships and stories and people and platforms. It's not something that happens overnight. I don't understand why anybody would want to go out there and build a brand first. I understand it's important, but and I know both, that everybody coming into the real estate profession, I would say 95% of them need money, right? They don't need a brand, they need money. Like, right. I want to build a brand, but I need money. Yeah. I want to build a brand, but I've got to feed my kids this month. I want to build a brand, but, right? There's so many different things that could go into that conversation. That could be a whole podcast on its own.
Right.
So I think that direct marketing is the number one thing that you should do, which means I'm going to put out money into Facebook, and Facebook's going to give me back money in the form of leads, right? What we have grown to understand is a lot of our clients are getting an 800% plus ROI from Facebook ads. That means every dollar they put in the machine, they're getting 8 back. That's powerful stuff. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go generate leads. Right now we have opportunities. What do they tell you in real estate? The moment you get licensed, great. Pull out your phone and call every single person in that phone and tell them that you're now a licensed real estate professional. Okay. Why would you contradict yourself and say, also go build a brand to a bunch of people that have no freaking clue who you are, and tell them that you sell real estate? Like, they're going to give a crap. Like, that's just, it's such conflicting advice. How about you grow your sphere of influence through lead generation? That's a powerful thought.
All right, so give us some specifics. How would you do that?
Simply through lead generation.
And knowing that if you're talking about running an ad on Facebook, right, is that the timeline for somebody on Facebook, it's not an intent-based platform. And so the timeline could be 6-9 months or whatever. So how am I getting that money, right?
It could be 6 days. There's 2 clients that you're going to get from Facebook, or 2 prospects you're going to get from Facebook. You're going to get people that are ready to go right now. That'll make up anywhere from 1 to 5% of the total number of leads you generate.
Okay.
Small portion. The bulk of those people will not be ready for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
The beautiful thing about Facebook advertising, it is unbelievably underpriced, which is how my customer or my students can spend $72 in Facebook ads and bring in a $6,000 commission, right? That's massive numbers. So you should understand that you're playing the right now game, right? But you're also playing the tomorrow game. And this is what we call a pipeline. If I was in real estate, and I'm not, I'm in marketing and sales and business and those types of things. If I was in real estate, I wouldn't even look at closed commissions. I would look at my pipeline and I would say, okay, I just finished 2019. My pipeline was $121 million in potential business. And what I would look at is how much of that business did I close? Well, I converted 10% of my pipeline. I did about $12 million in business. Great. What I know for 2020 is that if I want to do more business, I just need a bigger pipeline. I would try to look at the long game, understanding that the short-term money, the short-term gains that everybody's after are going to come. They're a byproduct of the long-term work that you do. So I wouldn't be so narrow focused on my next meal, my next commission check. I would look at what my pipeline was and I would build out reports. And I know I'm getting into the weeds here. So
No, it's good. I wanted to ask you actually, okay, so I'm a realtor, I'm hungry. I need to make money in the next 90 days. I need a listing in 90 days. What type of ad am I going to run? The free list of homes thing?
No. This is one of my favorite ads. You're going to run what we call the fish in a barrel campaign. It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
All right.
So what we do is we teach real estate agents to get a buyer's story. Like, meet Susan. She is 32-year-old single mother and she's a school teacher. She needs to be in this location. Go out and tell that story on social media. If you know, especially geographically, where Susan wants to move, go drive into a neighborhood, get out of your car, show pictures of the neighborhood that Susan wants to live in. Tell her story in a 3 to 5 minute video, or better yet, get her to tell it. And then take that advertisement and promote it to that subdivision that you know she wants to live in. And what's going to happen is everybody in that subdivision is now going to know that Susan, this person that they're falling in love with their story, needs to relocate to this area. Oh, and I can get top dollar. And she's ready to buy it right now. We could sell it this week, right? What happens always is that people will start getting private messages from people that are ready to sell, or at least see what the process would look like. And people start tagging people left and right. Well, if Susan doesn't have a property, I do. Or if Susan doesn't have, or if this person doesn't have a property, I know these people that they want to sell their house. And so it creates this listing frenzy. This is one of our secret weapons when it comes to generating motivated sellers in little to no inventory markets. If I wanted a listing in 90 days, that's exactly how I would go get it. I would just use my buyer's story. I would market an ad right to the subdivision I know they wanted to move, and I'd go drum up a bunch of listings.
All right. So to play whatever, the flip side of that, obviously you need a motivated buyer if you're going to have that buyer in video, right? Somebody who's willing to do that. But if not, what you said is you tell that buyer story yourself as a real estate agent.
Absolutely. And if you don't have a buyer story, go into your brokerage's office, knock on somebody's door, say, hey, do you have a buyer that's looking to relocate right now? If the answer is no, go to the next office. Hey, do you have a buyer looking to relocate right now? If the answer is no, keep going until you find one. Because I promise if you work in a brokerage that has at least 5 people, somebody has a buyer that's looking for a property. The only thing you need is a story.
All right. So I'm going to a couple of rapid fire questions that are coming at me. Is there a minimum ad budget that you think people need to invest at a certain level to really get any meaningful results from Facebook?
I think that my best advice for this is always to start where you are. If you got $100, start with $100. Spend $2, $3, $4 a day and just work the opportunity like your life depends on it. And I'm a huge proponent of reinvesting 20% of your revenue back into marketing, so your budget really begins to grow very fast. But I think most of our most successful students still only spend $300 to $600 a month. I wish they spent more, but a lot of success happens at $10 to $15 to $20 a day.
Really?
Which is nothing. Like, it's peanuts.
What goes into a good ad? What is the DNA of a good Facebook ad?
You got to know your consumer. You got to know what they want. If you know those two things, you can fail at Facebook ads, and you're gonna win really big. Have the right targeting, budget the right way, optimize to Facebook's auction algorithm. If you don't budget the right way, your ad will either not they won't spend any money at all, or you'll get a ton of leads and your ad will wear out really fast. So budgeting the right way is really important. But good copy, giving the right person what they want. Like, it's that simple. You could fail at this. You could be the worst in the world, but if you know who your customer is and you know what they want, which is homes, you're going to win. You're going to succeed. I guarantee it.
What's your experience with placements? Letting the algorithm kind of do its work? Are we running Instagram as well? Are we putting in
that's a great question. So what we've noticed actually is that for a long time it was a no-no. Like, don't run ads on multiple placements, run feeds only. And a lot of people, we still tell to do that. But we have started noticing in certain situations that if we let Facebook place where they want, we're noticing lower cost per result. That's only been in certain cases. So our rule of thumb is always, go to default feeds only. Don't run ads on Facebook and Instagram at the same time. Like, only go with one placement, you'll get the best results. But lately we have noticed there have been an increase or a decrease in the cost per result if we're letting Facebook place some things where they want. Sometimes Facebook stuff takes a minute to figure out. I think that's what people really have to understand. I kind of get a laugh when marketers come out for real estate agents, loan officers, like, oh, Facebook just announced this brand new thing. It's revolutionary. It's going to change your entire business. And the truth is, it's probably going to suck for like a year or two. Like when lead forms came out, they sucked. Like, they didn't work very well at all. The cost per lead was 4 or 5 times. The reason is that Facebook's audience hadn't yet been trained on how to buy or opt in or take certain actions through lead forms. It took a minute for Facebook's own audience to catch up to those things. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really, really important for real estate agents to understand like what's tried and true and do that. Don't jump to shiny objects, because it needs time to mature. And yes, there will be people that will flock first and that might win, or they might get their freaking knees bruised up for a little while until they figure it out. When figuring it out is really just waiting until Facebook's audience has been retrained to take certain actions. Same thing with bots and those types of things.
Yeah. Whole nother conversation there. Any quick tips or, lead ad versus landing page, when to use, when not to use?
Lead ad right now first. Don't go to a landing page, go through a lead form first. Retarget the lead form, that all engagement from the lead form, with video content to build your brand. And then based on how long people watch those videos, 25, 50%, run a call to action campaign, like send me a message to get the process started, or book an appointment with me, something like that. That would be my exact formula. That is our exact formula.
And you're using retargeting on most of the ads you're running?
Every single one. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to get attention, right? You don't want to lose it after you get it. So whatever you can do to trap people's attention, keep it 1,000%.
Then it sounds like building out a really successful Facebook lead ad funnel, if I can use that terminology. If I was to visualize kind of like, that little sketch that people use, the wireframe and all that, right? We're looking at multiple steps in the process. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There are. You should be running probably 4 to 6 ads in total. 1 cold lead generation campaign, 2 or 3 brand building campaigns, and then 1 or 2 call to action campaigns. That's a marketing campaign. Like, that's a system. That's a few ads that are all working together to help bring you a customer, not just generate leads. Once you generate a lead, you need to warm them up. And then once they're hot, they need an opportunity to do business with you now. So when we look at building out marketing campaigns, we're not just looking at launching one ad and, calling it a success. There are 4 or 5 ads that go into every campaign.
How long should somebody let an ad run before they make a determination on it?
That's a great question. The number that we're all after is not cost per lead. It's not click-through rate. It's not CPM. It's none of those numbers. Those are merely guides. The number that you are trying to find is your COA, your cost of acquisition, your cost to acquire a customer. Okay? That's the number that you must find. When you find that number, For Lindsay Porter in Indianapolis, every $72 she spends, she makes $6,000. For Matt McCutcheon in Georgia, every $187 he spends, he makes $3,000. Like, when they figured out what their cost to acquire customer was, and then they very simply asked themselves one question: how many customers do I want a month? That became their new marketing budget, right? So lead ads should perform 24, 48 hours. Like, you shouldn't spend more than $5 to $10 to $15 without getting a lead. If you have something's broken, something's not right. But don't let the cost per lead be your deciding factor. You guys need to be looking at cost per customer. And that applies to everything. Like, if I was with Zillow and I knew that my cost per lead was like $50 or whatever it is right now, but my cost to acquire a customer was $600, and I was getting 5-6 customers a month, like, I'm just going to ramp my spend up as high as I possibly can until I'm capped, because I know what my cost to acquire a customer is, and it's ROI positive. So we got to make sure that we're looking at the right numbers. But 24, 48 hours, you should be getting results.
All right, cool. That's good stuff, man. Let's transition real quickly, just for the sake of time, what we've got left here. I know you work with LOs as well in terms of helping them with their Facebook ads and teaming up with agents. So I'm going to have like a two-part question: is what do you think LOs, or what are you seeing? How are LOs succeeding with Facebook ads right now? Do you see anybody running ads alone, or is it you're seeing mostly people are teaming up with agents to succeed?
We see a lot of it going both ways. I think some of it really depends. Like, we work with a lot of purchase heavy or purchase centric LOs that, they really thrive on some of those relationships. I mean, if you have a great relationship with a real estate agent, it can be worth 3 to 5 deals a month. If you have 4 or 5 of those relationships, you're a multi-million-dollar producer, right? So what could you do to add value to the real estate agent? And we really try to educate and instruct loan officers to understand who their realtor is. And that's the same rule for a realtor, right? Understand who your homeowner is, or home seller, home buyer is. Real estate agents, everybody thinks that they want money, and that's really not the truth. And that's what I learned traveling the country, recruiting real estate agents, is that I could sit down with a real estate agent and on paper show them how they could not increase their workload, whatever, and then make over $60,000 more money. And I get told no every single day. No, don't want to move. Don't want to move. No. And what I learned is that real estate agents actually don't want to make more money.
What do they want?
They want to learn how to make more money, which is a distinction. They want to learn how to build better systems. They want to learn how to close more deals. They want to learn these things. And what I also learned is they don't pay for it. They don't really appreciate it. They're going to invest in it. You see all these companies like EXP and Keller Williams, they're providing these great technologies for their real estate agents. None of them use them. Their adoption rate to those platforms is zilch, because the agent themselves has no money in the game, no skin in the game. They're not invested. And they're afraid that if they do use those platforms, that the brokerage is just going to keep the information if they ever try to leave. Right? So it sounds like a losing strategy. But anyway, if you're a loan officer, understand the problem that your real estate agent is actually facing. We have what we call our pyramid of problems for real estate agents. The first problem that they feel like they have is leads. They need more leads to grow their business. Whether or not that's actually their issue is up for debate, right? But they feel like, I need leads to grow my business. Second problem that they feel like they have is, now I have leads, I need to know how to convert these leads into commission checks. Like, I'm struggling with sales.
Right.
Third problem they have, I'm generating leads, I'm closing deals, but now I'm working 80 to 100 hours a week. I never see my family, blah, 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 blah. They're struggling with systems and processes. Fourth problem, I'm generating leads, I'm closing deals, I've got systems dialed. Now I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to be a single agent, or if I want to bring on an assistant, or if I want to build a team, or if I want to grow a brokerage. Fifth problem, I don't know how to scale any of this stuff, right? So categorically, if you understand who the agent is and you understand what problems that they're experiencing, it makes it really easy to have a conversation with them. It makes it really easy from a loan officer standpoint to add value to that relationship. You know that if they're struggling with leads, help them generate leads. If you know that they're struggling to convert, help them gain access to information, tools, technology that will help them convert more leads. Understand what problem they're facing and then help them solve it. It's how you create one of the most invaluable relationships in real estate between a loan officer and a realtor partner, is that you see where they are, help them solve the problem, and move on to the next step. And you don't have to do it bashing somebody else. Just help people.
Right. No, I agree 100%. And I would definitely encourage people to always have that kind of consultation, needs analysis meeting with real estate agents. Let's address the listeners right now who would like to entertain the possibility of partnering with real estate agents to generate leads together on Facebook. How does that work successfully in the real world?
I've seen it work a lot of different ways. Always follow your RESPA guidelines for what you can and can't do and what you can and can't invest in. But we've seen a lot of really successful relationships created where the agent and the loan officer partner kind of hand in hand on a lead generation campaign. And LOs that are driving that conversation, really do well. We've seen a big success rate where loan officers generate leads for themselves, and then they pass those out to their realtor partners, because once they get them pre-qualified, pre-approved, they pass those leads on to the people that they do business with.
And these are leads, just to clarify though, that these are leads for they're advertising homes, not pre-qualifying, right? Not down payment assistance per se.
Right. That's why partnership campaigns do so well, because in order to show a prospect list of homes, you need to be kind of partnered up with a real estate agent.
Yeah.
But it's a great segue. We see people that get 2 to 3, 4 of those types of relationships where they know what type of lead is coming in. They'll generate the leads and then they'll pass them over to the realtor, their preferred realtor partner at whatever time frame. And the realtor and the loan officer both then work to help convert that one single prospect. That's one of the best ways that I'm seeing it right now. Single property websites, helping people advertise the single property campaigns. We call that the social listing method. The open door campaigns, helping people market open houses. It's really just all about, again, identifying where the agent is and what it is that they're wanting. And when you understand that, having a campaign that matches the campaign solution that matches the problem they're having, and then helping them generate leads for that thing. If somebody comes to me and they says, man, I'm really struggling to generate sellers, great, I'm going to use this fish in a barrel campaign and I'm going to go generate you some seller leads. Let's do it. Here's how it's going to work. So just really equipping yourself with the knowledge and understanding of what types of leads that you can generate. And when an agent comes to you with that specific problem, or you're courting somebody in a relationship, help them solve it through leads. That's the problem that they feel like they have. Whether or not that's actually the issue, that's the problem that they feel like they have.
How do you usually see successfully splitting ad spend and stuff? Is that typically just 50-50?
You've got to consult your compliance department with whatever loan shop you work with. I'm going to give you the RESPA answer.
There you go. That's a nice answer there, man. PC.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. Very cool. All right. So we are at the top of our hour here, but I wanted to, because I've been looking at this for quite a while. Let me set this up briefly and then we'll kind of close out. But I've had other Facebook people on the podcast, but I've been watching what other, you used the term earlier, gurus are doing for people trying to sell a lot of different stuff to loan officers. I've, got access to some of these courses that are out there, and I've looked at the back end. And man, I haven't seen a lot that's good, to be totally honest with you. And I've seen loan officers just not use it. And so that's not necessarily a fault of the course, but the LO. But I mean, let's just face it, it's a big bear, right? To be able to take this on as well and become a Facebook expert at the same time. I'm like a mortgage loan originator, That's, for some people, that's asking a lot. But I do believe I always try and put myself in the shoes of, if I was an LO today originating in the streets, would I be investigating how do I successfully help realtors run Facebook ads to generate leads for us both? Yeah, 100%, man. How do I beat Zillow at its own game? I want to get to the customer first. So you've got some ways to help out loan officers do that, don't you?
We do. Absolutely, we do.
We do. Next question.
Yep.
Well, put it this way. I think, let's just be totally transparent. You and I talked the other day, and you were kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, so I'm not saying this correctly, rolling something out in maybe a beta version, or just looking for like a founders group or something. And you and I talked about, like, I've got an audience, a pretty decent sized audience of loan officers. We talked about possibly looking for a handful of people, maybe 10 LOs that might be interested in learning how to do that, right?
Yes. So, I've been a massive fan of lead generation for a long time. And we've, like I said, redefined who we are. We've gotten out of the lead generation business, and we moved into the appointment generation business, and then we moved into the client generation business. But one of the things that I've really successfully done over the last several years is I've built my business by appointment only. Meaning we put out Facebook ads, we put out videos, we built a brand, we created relationships, and we provided people an opportunity to book appointments with us to learn about our company. We've generated over 16,000 appointments in 5 years to grow our business. And I was thinking, I was like, you know what? The greatest way for loan officers to build their business is through relationships with realtor partners, good relationships.
Yeah.
Because it's the difference between having an acquisition-based business and a recurring revenue-based business. And what I mean by that is if you just want to go out there and generate leads and generate, originate loans direct to consumer, you have an acquisition-based business. You have to buy your customers every single month. On the other side of that, if you want to build a recurring revenue-based business, you simply have to create relationships with realtor partners, and now you've got recurring revenue. You don't have to go buy customers all the time because your realtor partners are sending you all of the customers. It's kind of like having a subscription-based business. Just kind of pulling that into some internet marketer jargon. But what I realized is like how, realtors are the most advertised to, marketed to, sold to group of people on planet Earth. Because they are the best buyers on planet Earth, right? They unfortunately, that's what happened. That's why they're so marketed to. Everybody always says, if you want to make money in real estate, don't sell real estate, just sell something to the realtor. Right?
True.
So I was looking at that. I was like, how could we create a less salesy, less hey, send me your loan type approach to creating relationships with loan officers and realtors? And I said, you know what, why not just teach loan officers how to generate appointments the same way I've generated appointments? And so, yeah, I mean, we've been testing it for a long time in our own business, and it works in realtors businesses. It works in all types of industries. But what we're wanting to do is teach the loan officer how to build their business by appointment only, basically how to put out advertisements for themselves that kind of market their unique value proposition, i.e. I'm going to help you generate leads, or I have a ton of leads that I need help working, whatever, and get realtor partners just booking time on their calendar to meet, whether in a 15-minute call, 30-minute discovery call, hour-long coffee session, whatever that looks like. But appointment generation is something that loan officers can do in their business every single day. We're getting appointments anywhere from $50 an appointment to $150 an appointment. And so if you're a loan officer listening to this, like, well, that sounds pretty cool. If you were to spend $500 or so a month, you're looking at generating anywhere from 6 to 10 appointments to meet with loan officers. And what I've just discovered is that, like, when I focus my time on building relationships and just building relationships, I don't have bad customers. But when I spend my time on finding customers, I lose all of my great relationships, if that kind of makes any sense. So if I could put a system in place that was bringing me new customers while I was focused on nurturing the relationships with the ones that I have, I would probably build a much greater company. I'd have a much better reputation, and have much greater relationships, on and so forth. Because by definition, what you said a second ago, you are a mortgage originator, right? You got to go out and originate loans. It's how you get paid. Right. If you're doing office work, if you're doing loan processing, if you're doing any of that back end stuff, you're not actually doing your job. You should go get a job in loan processing or whatever that looks like. Right. Stop handling your transactions. That's one of the biggest things that you could do. Focus on originating loans. And if you have 5 to 10 realtor partners that you work with every month, your job is just simply nurturing relationships. It's not much more complicated than that. But I'm sure if you're listening to this, you would agree. You've noticed times when you tried to focus on getting other relationships that the ones you had with your realtor partners suffered. So This is just an attempt at seeing a problem and trying to create a solution where we could get loan officers could get realtor partners booking appointments on their calendar every single month to meet them about, kind of partnering up and growing in a unique way.
Obvious question. How do you qualify or vet agents so you don't get busy, with bottom feeders?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we actually we get people to fill out a 24 question kind of lead form. They have to answer 24 questions about their business, about their production, about their goals, their pain points, what types of marketing they do, where their struggles are. So the appointments that we're generating are 24 question long form leads
Yeah.
that are coming in about the realtor partner. Then we get to make a distinction.
I
Like,
love that. The long form agent leads is we're turning the tables.
yes,
I love it. Okay, so there's a lot of qualifying that goes on, so you can kind of weed those out, and then I suppose there's like a calendar integration where they're gonna like book an appointment on your calendar.
yeah, they would need a couple of things. They would need a landing page, they would need a calendar integration, and they would need a software that would send out automated emails and follow-ups and stuff like that. So there's a couple of things that the loan officer would need to really make that work successfully.
Okay. And so back to like why we brought this whole thing up is if my audience knows me by now, I don't have any outside third party sponsors for this podcast. It's just me. I'm very selective about like if I do bring on guests, right? Like I'm trying to bring the best I can of high quality integrity. That's the really key there. And so that's why I wanted to bring you on and talk about that a little bit briefly. And what we've agreed to do, if I'm correct, is while it's not available right now, is for those that are listening and are interested in learning more about that, about Grant's program for, I'll surmise this, you running Facebook ads to target the right realtors, to vet them and get them to book appointments with you to learn more about helping them partner up and perhaps run Facebook ads. That's what essentially we're proposing, right?
Yep, appointment generation for loan officers.
Okay. So right now, again, it's not available because Grant's still, got another kind of situation going on where we didn't want to make. What we wanted to do is this: if you're listening and you're interested in that, I put up a reservation page, right? Which is, I'll put the links in the show notes, but here's the page. It's called getfacebookleads.me. So getfacebookleads.me. That's where you can just go, right? Short little form on there. Who are you? A couple of questions there. And then once this thing is ready to perhaps be reopened, if you will, we'll obviously be in touch with you. And then we'll probably host like a discovery webinar and all that kind of jazz to answer your questions and give you guys all the details. Is that a fair assessment, Grant?
Absolutely. It sounds awesome.
Okay, cool. So once again, the link will be in the show notes, getfacebookleads.me. And it sounds really interesting. And like I said, I mean, if I didn't really believe that of all the people I've looked at for Facebook, quote, gurus, I hate to use that word, but you know what I mean, right? People are trying to schlock and sell stuff. Grant's not trying to do that at all. Plus, I mean, the people you've worked with and the depth and breadth of your knowledge and the fact that you've already worked with LOs doing this with real estate agents right now, that's why I wanted to, make that available for our listeners. So appreciate that.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you.
Same here, bro. So listen, I know we got to go. It is a little bit late past the hour. So, but we get along with Facebook anytime. Wonderful content, awesome insights. If anybody wants to reach out to you directly, how would they contact you?
Best way to do that right now is just go to my website, likegrantwise.com, L-I-K-E grantwise.com. From there, you can see what I'm up to and you can connect with me on any social platform.
Awesome. We'll put that link in the show notes as well. And so, Grant, thank you for being here. Listeners, as always, we appreciate you. You know what to do. Leave us some love out on the social webs. If you want to leave a review, we appreciate you. And we will see you on the next one.